Hi guys, and welcome to Escape Wheel Watch Reviews. My name is Steve, and today we're going to be reviewing the Sugess Top Chronometer version 3. So I traded another watch for this piece, so you'll have to excuse some of the wear from the previous owner. You can see lots of scratches on the bracelet and all the other polished surfaces. It's not a review quality piece like I like to show on the channel, but I've been getting a lot of requests for this one, so yeah, I am going to review it, and I'm going to review it like the most expensive Chinese watch that I've had on this channel, because that's what it is, if you don't consider some of the micro brands. So yeah, if you are interested in this piece by the end of this review, I'll be leaving a link down in the video description. That is an affiliate link. Thank you guys so much for using my affiliate links. It doesn't cost you guys any extra, but this channel benefits with a little bit of commission earned, and allows me to keep buying watches and keeping this channel going. So thank you guys so much for using my affiliate links. I really do appreciate it. The current retail price for this watch is $361 US. So that is before any taxes or sales or coupons or discounts or anything like that. But $361 US, that is the very top end of the Chinese watch market, pretty much, unless you consider some of the tourbillons out there. This is right up there, close to $400. So it better be a good watch. The watch is available in 7 different color combinations, 3 different dial colors, 3 different bezel options. So you're gonna have to pick and choose. I think they all look really good, and I had a tough time deciding. I was gonna buy one new, but then I stumbled upon this black one. This one was the top of my list because black is such a versatile color. This is just a perfect daily watch in my opinion. The watch case, bracelet, and clasp are made of 316L stainless steel. You have an option of a ceramic or steel bezel. You have a sapphire crystal, screw down crowns, screw down case back, 50 meters of claimed water resistance, and the watch is powered by the Dangdong Peacock 7750 clone. It is an automatic chronograph movement. So for $360, that's a lot of money for a Chinese watch, but I have to say, I think it's worth it. You're getting a solid build quality, solid finishing with an actual automatic chronograph movement inside. It's a high beat movement as well, and it's been running great for me. And the watch is just the perfect size and perfect design that you're going to be able to wear this thing all the time. So I think you're going to be really happy with it. And not only is the quality there, the execution is just spot on. So yeah, with all that being said, I think we should get into this full review. But before we do, doing a wrist check, I've got nothing on the wrist. I'm going to take this time to talk about my hands. Very sorry for having you guys look at this, but you can see here I got some spots on my hands on my recent trip to Germany. I got hand, foot, and mouth disease, so it was a complete bust of a work trip. Wasn't allowed to go into the office, headed back home early. It sucked terribly. Hand, foot, and mouth disease is a pain in the butt, and then you get these little spots and little blisters all over your hands, so very sorry about that. Don't pay attention to those. Look at the watch, not my fingers. That's all I'm going to say. All right, let's get into the review. All right, so let's get into the dimensions. We've got a diameter of 38.4 millimeters. The case is ever so slightly bigger, but it's really hard to measure. It's not any more than 39 millimeters. So got a case thickness of 12.4 millimeters. We've got 20 millimeter lug width, lug tip to lug tip of 46.7 millimeters. Total length with the end links is 51.4 millimeters, and sized up for my 7.5-inch wrist with one link removed. It weighs about 143 grams. So I think the size on this thing is just perfect. A 38.5, 39 millimeter case, pretty short lug to lug. It is a very flat case, as you can see there. And the overall length, it is 51 point something, but you can see those end links, they do turn down pretty good. So I think it still wears very good. It's short enough that it's not a big deal. It's nice and thin, as you can see here. They thin this down quite a bit in the version 3 that you're seeing here, so really happy with the case thickness on this thing. It wears great. I'm going to go outside right now and throw it on my wrist for you. Here we are on my 7.5-inch wrist, and as you can see, personally I think this is just the perfect size for me, and I think it's going to fit a lot of wrist sizes as well. You can see it is pretty flat on the wrist there, but it sits nice and low, and I think it looks really good. You got lots of light play off of the ceramic bezel and the bracelet, and I just think it looks really, really good. Very happy with the way this thing wears. I could wear it all day long. It's nice and comfortable, and it just looks and feels great. And popping out in some direct sunlight here, you can see lots and lots of light play off of the dial, and I think it just looks great. You do get a little bit of washout, but not too bad. I don't believe there's any AR coating on the crystal, but it really doesn't matter too bad. For being such a busy dial, I haven't really had any problems reading the time on this thing, so yeah, it's a non-issue for me in my opinion. Let's go throw this on some straps and we'll get back to this review. And here we are on a nice rubber strap here. This is from Strapsco. Kind of has that Oyster Flex type of look to it, and I think it looks really good. It's very comfortable, and yeah, I mean, it just, yeah, super comfortable, and it just looks good. I mean, I don't know what else to say. Here we are on an orange silicone strap from Barton, and again, I think it looks pretty good. This thing's gonna be a strap monster for sure, no question about that. So yeah, you can throw pretty much anything at it and it'll look good. Here we are on a suede strap in gray. This is from Marker. I believe you can pick these up on AliExpress, so the link will be down below. And yeah, really nice. I think that looks pretty good. I like the taper on it. I think it worked good. What do you guys think? And here we are on a sweatpant single pass strap. This is from CNS Watch Bands. Really nice and comfortable strap. I love this thing, and I think it looks pretty good on this watch. And here we are on a ribbed nylon strap, 2 layers underneath the watch there, still sitting really nice. Not sure I've ever seen a watch of this style on a nylon strap like this, so yeah, I wasn't sure how I was going to like it, but I actually think it looks pretty good. What do you guys think? Alright, let's go back inside and let's get back to this review. All right, so let's talk about the case finishing on this thing. Case finishing is very, very simple. It is a fully polished case, just like the watch that it's paying homage to. You can see here, again, sorry about all the scratches and scuffs, but there's no like waviness or anything like that in the polishing. They did a really good job with it. You can see it's a nice rounded case as well, so you get lots of nice light play off of the case there, and I think it all looks really good. Same with the top of the lugs there. Nicely done. I've got 0 complaints with it. Flipping it over to the crown side here, you can see you've got a nice signed crown here. It's very shallow. I think it's just like laser etched. I wish they would do something a little bit different with that. I'm not a huge fan of that logo, but it is nice that it is a signed crown there. And it's a nice crown, nestled nicely into those crown guards, as you can see there. It doesn't protrude out. It's not an overly large crown, but perfectly functional size-wise. Same with those pushers. I think they're nice size. They got a nice little detail on them as well, as you can see there. But yeah, very nicely done. Good grip on them. I've got no complaints with it. I think it looks really good. Going to the ceramic bezel insert. Like I mentioned, you can get this in a steel bezel insert as well. But the alignment is just perfect on this thing. You got your units per hour there. Nice engraving as well. And on this ceramic one, that's actually silver filled. I'm hoping it comes across. You can kind of see it right there. It's a silver filled. It's not a white filled. So yeah, it looks good. It's got a little bit of a sparkle to it that you can really only see under macro, but it's a nice little detail. And I mean, the sharpness of these engravings is just top notch. Very happy with that. I've got no complaints with the bezel insert. I got no complaints with the case itself. Flipping it over to the case back, you can see very simple case back, sterile, vertical brushing, and then you get your coin edge bezel, or you got your coin edge finish there. So it's going to be a pain to take this thing off, but yeah, hopefully you'll never have to. Circular brushing on the bottom of the lugs there. Everything here is nicely rounded. It's very comfortable, and I've got no complaints with the case finishing on this thing. I think they did a really good job. All right, so let's talk about the crystal on this thing. So I'm going to test it for sapphire real quick. So it is positive for sapphire, no surprise there, and it's just a dead flat piece of sapphire crystal. No anti-reflective coating that I can see on it, but I don't think it really needs it. You can see here it does sit above the ceramic bezel insert, and it's got a nice little chamfer on the edge there, and I think it looks pretty good. I don't know whether to mention this now or during the dial section, but the way the crystal is placed above the bezel insert there and how shallow the rehout is there, it just makes this dial almost look like it's popping out of the watch. It's really hopefully it's coming across on camera. I don't know if it will, but I mean, it just kind of like jumps out at you. It's the first thing I noticed when I got it. I thought it looked amazing. Kind of in the same way that the Sugess Ocean Star, the Hulk that I reviewed, I'll leave the link up there hopefully. Same way as that, kind of feels like it's a little bit, it's just closer to the glass. The dial is closer to the glass, and it just makes it look awesome. So yeah, really happy with that. I think the crystal on this thing is fine. I guess it could use some anti-reflective coating, but I'm really not missing it at all. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with the crystal on this thing. All right, so let's get close and we'll talk about the dial on this thing. So the dial on this is a glossy black dial, as you can see here. Really, really happy with that. Nice deep gloss on it. You have your indices at all the hour markers there, nicely applied, and I think they look good. They look really good. They got some nice depth to them, and they're applied nice and straight. I've got zero issues with the alignment on this thing. Very happy with that. You have subdials here at the 3, 6, and 9. 6 o'clock one is just your running seconds hand, so that one's always moving. You can see here at the 3 o'clock position, you have a minute counter for your chronograph. So the chronograph hand here is running now. It's been running for 9 minutes. It's an odd thing to see a 30-minute counter here when you have a hour totalizer over here. So the 3 o'clock hand here, it'll actually go around twice before this thing reaches the 1 hour mark. So it's unusual. You kind of have to pay attention to that while you're using the chronograph function. I do like that there's an hour totalizer there. I do wish this was a 60-minute instead of a 30-minute. It's kind of odd. I'm not really sure why they did it that way. And I just never really noticed it until I got this watch. One thing else I never really noticed is that the subdial hands at 3 and 9, they sit a little bit above the pinion. I don't know if you can see it or not. The easiest way to see it is to look at the spacing of the indices and the subdial. So getting up here, you can see this 2 o'clock indice almost touches the subdial, while there's pretty big gap here at the 4 o'clock. Same thing on the other side. It's just something that I noticed, and it's one of those things that you don't really notice it until you see it. It never bothered me at all, but yeah, just thought I would mention it. You can see here, getting up close, you have silver concentric circles there in the subdials. The hands have that black stripe down the middle just to give a little bit extra contrast. I think they did a pretty good job, and I think they all look really nice. They're nicely sized as well. You don't really lose them too bad, even though this dial is very busy. You can see the chronograph second hand here. That one does get lost every once in a while, but for the most part, it is completely legible, and I've got no real complaints with the legibility of this watch, considering how busy of a dial it is. You can see all the printing around the outside, the minute markers and sub-second markers there. Everything is done really nice. You do have your Sugess automatic top chronometer text there. That top chronometer is now just chronograph on the newest models, so just keep that in mind. You do have a laser engraved rehaut there, and again, I mentioned this during the crystal section. That rehaut is super shallow. It is so shallow, it almost makes the dial pop out of the watch. It looks excellent. The way that they did this all, it just looks really, really good, and I'm very happy with the dial. It's one of my favorite parts of this watch. It just kind of looks like it's popping out at you, and I love it. The lume on this watch, it's not great. I'm going to pop up a lume shot here. You can see it against some of the other chronographs in the collection. It's not bad, but it's really not that good either. I didn't expect it to be good. It is a chronograph. You can't really depend on a chronograph to have good lume. It's there. Just don't depend on it, and you'll be happy with it. All right, so let's talk about the movement in this thing. So like I mentioned earlier, this is an ETA 7750 clone from the Dang Dong Peacock factory. And I got to tell you, I am super happy with this movement. It's very positive to interact with. It has been running excellent. Here's how mine has been running. I mean, you just can't get any better than that. So very happy with the accuracy of this thing. When I first got it, I wore it for about 2 weeks straight, and it wasn't off more than a couple seconds. So really happy with the accuracy on this thing. Really happy with the feedback on this thing. It is a 28,800 beats per hour movement. So you do have 8 ticks of the second hand every second. It hacks, it hand winds, it does everything you need it to do. Hopefully it'll be accurate and reliable for the long term. It is operated by these crowns on the 3 o'clock side here. So you have screw down main crown, pretty nice and smooth. No issues with this one. Get a nice satisfying pop out of the crown there. And this is where you can hand wind the movement. Nice and smooth hand winding. Pull it out. Maybe I should stop the chronograph here first. We'll talk about the chronograph functions right now. So obviously the top pusher starts and stops it. The bottom pusher resets it. And the clicks on these things are very satisfying. You can hear them. And then reset, again, nice solid click, and you can see everything just snaps right back into place. The alignment is spot on all those hands. I've got no complaints. I mean, the feedback on these pushers coming from like a VK movement or even the Seagull ST19, these pushers feel great. Those other ones, the VK movement and the ST19, they just don't feel as solid as this. These are nice positive clicks, and I love it. So getting back to the regular time setting position, you pull this out. Sorry, it's a little difficult. There we go. You can see it hacks the movement there, and this is where you set your time, and everything sets as you would expect. And I've got no complaints with this thing. Pushing it back in starts up the second hand, no jumping of the minute hands or anything. I mean, it is super solid feeling, and the screw in action is just buttery smooth. It's that typical Sugess kind of spring-loaded crown, so you're not winding the movement while you're screwing it in or unscrewing it, and it just feels great. I've got no complaints with the movement, no complaints with the pushers. It's super satisfying, and I love using this movement. All right, so let's talk about the bracelet on this thing. So bracelet is, again, very nicely done from Sugess. It is 20 millimeters, and it tapers down to 16 millimeters at the clasp. It's 3 solid links, as you can see here. Brushing on the outside, polishing on the inside. The polishing looks to be done really nicely. Again, apologize for all the scratches. You have polishing on the sides here. You do have screw pins here. I removed one link for my 7.5-inch wrist, so it's not going to fit very large wrists. But I think the bracelet itself is very nice. It's nice and solid feeling. When you pick it up off the desk or out of your watch box, it just feels solid and feels quality. You can see here, nice solid fitment of the end links. There's no wobble in there. They follow the case curvature almost perfectly. I've got no complaints with it. I guess some people would like to see female end links. I would too, but I had the wrist to pull off the male end link, so it's not that big of a deal for me. But you can see here, really nice brushing, and they just have that kind of that Sugess luster that I keep talking about with Sugess watches. They just do a really nice job with the finishing on these brushing. Yeah, I'm just very happy with the finish on this thing. Everything is nice and fluid. The bottom edge of the bracelet is nice and soft. Working our way to the clasp, you have a typical style clasp for this watch. The bottom edge is here. This one's a little bit sharp, but it really has never bothered me. This watch in general has been very comfortable. This top edge here is nicely rounded off. You've got your Sugess S there. It gets a nice place for you to put your finger in and pop open the flip lock. And then, you just open it like a typical watch. Fully milled inside, fully polished, nice tight tolerances here. I've got no complaints. It's always opened and closed very easily for me. Zero issues with that. You can see it does have, right there, you can see there's some micro adjust holes on the inside here. These little grooves that you can see there. That's where you can slide the pin in. This does have the kind of on the fly, 5 millimeter adjustment or so. So that is nice to see. Pretty happy with that. Everything functions as it should. Everything looks very nice in my opinion. Yeah, I've got no complaints with the bracelet, and it's right up there in quality with what you would get from a San Martin. I think it looks good. I think it feels good. It wears good. It's comfortable. I've got no complaints. So there you go, guys. That is the Sugess Top Chronometer. Let me know what you guys think about this. Would you pay $360 for this when something like the, a Parnas or the Pagani Design PD1664, I believe, exists? A very similar looking watch for about $75. I guess it depends on what you want out of the watch. This one definitely feels a couple steps up in quality from those watches. And, you're getting an automatic chronograph high beat movement inside. I think it's totally worth it. That's just me. But let me know what you guys think down in the description. Would you buy this when something like the PD1664 exists? It's a good question, and yeah, probably a good conversation to have. But I think that's it for me, guys. Thanks a lot for watching, and I will see you in the next one. See ya.